How's it, everybody, and a warm welcome to the Web3 show. I'm Philip Kalinko, and tonight we're going to be covering a whole lot of the latest weekly Web3 news. We've got Yuga and 10K TP partnering together. We've got Nike launching Swoosh on Polygon. We got Sony. We got Adidas dropping their virtual gear. How did that go? We got Ronaldo dropping a collection, Opensea Royalties, and much, much more. So thank you so much for joining. A reminder that nothing I say is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And if you haven't already noticed, the Web3 space is very risky. So you should always be careful and do your own research. With that said, let's get straight into it. We'll look at the market update and see what's going on in the markets. All right, so last 24 hours, we've got ETH flat at 1,200. We've got Bitcoin sitting at 16,500. A big mover at the moment is ApeCoin. They've gone up about 8% today. They launched details about their staking, which is going to go live in approximately 2 weeks' time. The more Yuga lag assets you have, the more return you're going to get, upwards of 70%, they say, based on the current value of the token. So that's assuming that the token price doesn't go down over time. We're seeing people buying up Ape. So they up about 8%, sitting at about $3.10. I actually sold a bit of ETH yesterday to buy some Ape, just with the intention of selling it before staking, because I do think there's still quite a lot of space to run, but I'm just telling you what I'm doing, obviously not financial advice. Then if we have a look here at the NASDAQ, S&P 500, pretty flat day. Tech is down, NASDAQ's down a bit. Finance is up and doing really well. But overall, pretty much a flat day. We have had some good data coming out of the US, showing that the chances of a 75-point basis point rise is very low now. Probably going to be a 50 basis point rise in the next meeting. And the markets have cheered that and then now seem to be pretty flat the last couple of days. If we have a look on June analytics over here, we see Opensea daily volume. You can see here, yesterday they did 9.5 million. Today so far they're on 4.8 million, hasn't closed yet. But if we jump onto DApp Radar and we look at all the marketplaces together, we can see Opensea still holding the top spot by far, 7.5 million traded. We've got Magic Eden with 1.6 million, X2Y2 with 1 million, Immutable X with 700,000, Blockdobe with 700,000, CryptoPunks alone with 450,000, Looks Rare with 392,000. If we add all of those together, we get around 11 million. So definitely seeing very low volume at the moment. If we have a look at what's trending in the last 24 hours, we see all the Bored Ape Yacht Club or Yuga assets trending. We've got Bored Ape Yacht Club at number 1, Mutants at number 2, Other Deed at number 3, Azuki at number 4, Clone X at number 5, Nouns at number 6, Visible Friends, Moonbirds, Pudgy Penguins, Doodles, Chromie Squiggles, and Meepits. Very interesting to see. Again, I do think that this is related to the staking. A lot of people, including me, thought that the staking would be delayed because of this SEC investigation, and it was delayed by a month. However, they're going ahead with it now. So I really didn't believe they would. I thought they would wait for the outcome of the SEC investigation first, but no, they announced they're going ahead, as I said, in approximately 2 weeks. So if you own a Bored Ape, you can stake more and get a higher return. If you own a mutant, you can stake and get a good return, and a dog acts as almost like a multiplier. So a dog on its own doesn't do anything, but if you hold a Bored Ape or a mutant and then you have a dog with it, then you get extra that you can stake and a better return on that investment. If we jump on OpenSea, just because it does show a couple of additional collections that aren't shown on flips.finance, we have this one here, Homa Gang, by Valentine, which I've been seeing a bit about. It launched 2 days ago. Apparently, these guys have got $100 million in venture capital, in funding for this. So they're a game publisher, an existing game publisher, Again, if people can do it, then the guys who have been doing Web2 games are the guys who can probably pull off a great Web3 game. So if you've made successful Web2 games, your chances of making a good Web3 game are much better. So these guys do, and they're fully doxed. They've got good funding. I must be honest, just to play open cards, I picked up 3 of these off the floor today because I do think when the market realizes what they're dealing with here, that these could run. Again, really not financial advice. I haven't seen the bank statement showing $100 million, but it is from good sources. But again, I mean, you never know in this space, really. We've seen what's happened with everything at the moment, FTX, Gemini, whatever's going on. Trust no one and don't listen to anything I say. But just telling you what I did, I picked up 3 of these because they could really, really do quite a big run if everything checks out and is released, or the information is released. So yeah, I've been watching them. Let's have a look at their Twitter once we're looking here, and we'll also just look at their activity. I wanted to do this earlier and I got distracted. I wanted to look at their Twitter. So you can see here, yesterday they did 433 Ethereum, which is massive in this market, 3,800 sales. And then today, sitting at 748 sales as we stand now. We're about halfway through the day over here. Going to be interesting to see what happens when they reveal, and also interesting to see what the team is gonna bring to the table there. If we have a look here, yeah, I mean this looks pretty legit to me, guys. I mean, look at this Twitter. So you got a blue check mark. I think that Elon Musk stopped his you can buy your blue check mark. Actually don't know if he removed people who had bought it and refunded them. I assume he did, because there were people just pretending to be everyone. I know Crypto Dream did see this, but I suggested to Elon Musk that he just make the tick different color for different things. So you could have notable people have their blue tick, then you could have like people who pay for their tick have an orange tick. You could have content creators have a different color tick or whatever. Don't know why he had to remove it altogether. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Wait. He is a rocket scientist. All right. Maybe there's a reason for it. He's obviously a lot cleverer than me, but I would have just changed the color of the tick. Anyway, these guys have got 161,000 followers, which is massive. Been around since 2018. Here they've got their Opensea. They've got their Discord. Let's check the engagement. This was on the 17th of November. Not huge engagement, to be honest. 83 comments, 111 retweets, 400 likes, not massive. So they must have had this following before. So it's hard to know of this 100 and whatever thousand, 61,000, probably a very small percentage are actually interested in NFTs, right? But here you can see Mint is live also, not a huge amount of engagement. You would expect more. That could potentially be an opportunity that people aren't aware what's going on here. If you have a look over here on their website, it looks like and I'm looking at it for the first time with you guys. Looks like a pretty clean website. I mean, nothing blowing me away, but neither anything negative. Play your own games. Here you've got the team. Over 160,000 people are working at Homa. 160 people. Our partners. Not bad. Okay, so this is obviously just the Mint website over here. It would be interesting to be able to find their main website. Here we go. Let's go onto their main website, not just their NFT. All right, there we go. So we believe in data and builders of tools that help game creators make and publish hit games with franchise potential built in. We're Homa Gaming Tech Lab that gives game creators the data. 1,000 studios and developers, 80 plus mobile games that they've created, over 1 billion downloads, which is a lot. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously to me, I believe it's worth a punt, 0.5 buy-in. We saw that what happened to Digi-Daigaku, which was a very similar type thing, an existing game studio with funding. They went all the way to 10 ETH. Now I've settled, I think, at about 7 or 8 or wherever they are. So this could just be one that's under the radar, or it could be one that never ever gets picked up and stays there forever. So do your own research, but definitely interesting to see it in the top 5 of Opensea in the last 24 hours. Then we've got 1984, which I've covered before in a video. If you want to check it out with Casey Knightley, just search on YouTube, 1984. You'll see our reviews on them. We've got Genuine Undead that keeps popping up, coming back into the top 10. A really interesting project. They've got the best 3D art that I've seen, 3D pixel art that I've seen. And they tend to, whenever they hit 0.25, I don't know if you guys can see this, but currently they're 0.42. Whenever they hit 0.25, the next day they shoot up. It's actually quite incredible. So I've been watching this. They get a lot of sales. But when I say 3D art, I mean, look at this, 3D pixel art. When you have it as your profile picture, you can't even tell that it's pixel art. It's really, really amazing. So from an art perspective, they're good, and they've also got a crazy, crazy community. If you just mention them on your Twitter, then they go absolutely wild. Just gave me an idea. Why don't we mention them on Twitter and see what happens, guys? Let's quickly log into Twitter here. Actually, the better way would be to do it through here. And let's go here, and then we're going to need a link. We're going to need a link to this live stream, but let's just say here, tweet, yo, let's see if this is what we think it is. We'll keep an eye on it. Yo, Genuine Undead, we talking about your project on our live show. Okay. Like that, and then let's put the link, which I'm going to have to find in a creative way. Just hold on 1 second. So if we open up here, I'm going to take my screen. Well, you can watch my screen, it doesn't matter. NFT show, we go YouTube Studio. This is a deep dive into the back end of YouTube. So go live here. This is currently the one that we're doing here, and we say get shareable link. Boom, we can close this up here, do that, and let's see. We currently got 6 viewers live. Thank you to everyone for being here. Nice Friday night. We've got a weekend ahead of us. Let's see if this number jumps. Let's just see, because this community is really that insane. So let's see. We'll keep an eye on this over here. I'm going to put it all the way to the end so that I don't delete it by mistake. I'm going to put it all the way to the end here, because as I go through stuff, I typically delete it, all right? Anyway, so let's see what happens there if they come back to us. Genuine Undead, Azuki, Clone X, those are all the same that we saw already. So yeah, very, very interesting. IC Tools to see what's trending, like literally the last 5 minutes. This is live, so I've got no idea what this is going to say. Never heard of this top one, never heard of that one, never heard of that one. The Sad Times, I saw them, they minted yesterday, 3,333 collection. Mint price was, I think, you could choose what you wanted to pay. So literally, you could choose what you could pay 0, or you could pay whatever you want. And they've been doing quite well. I've been seeing them on the charts. Again, when a project has just launched, like this Sad Times, or even that one that we looked at, the gaming one, when it's just launched, you're always going to see them in the chart the first 2-3 days. The real test, and the same with 1984, the real test is, are they still in these charts in the next 2 weeks? You know, are they still featuring? Do they still have sales? That's really what you want to see. We got Cube X. We know those guys are doing quite a lot. They down substantially. They were sitting at about 0.2 a couple of weeks ago. Here we've got that 1984 again. So 3 sales in the last 5 minutes. Just interesting to watch what's trending. Nice to have this open in the background for sure. Alrighty. Let's get straight into it. All right, so our first news article, Yuga Labs, the company behind Bored Ape Yacht Club, has acquired WENU, which is 10KTF. The acquisition means that 30 WENU employees will join Yuga Labs. Beeple will also be joining as an advisor. So that's really, really interesting. We know that Beeple and Gordon Goner have had a good relationship, and that they're close. This was a natural progression in many ways. There were definitely hints from 10KTF that there was something happening. Their last mint, 10KTF's mint, you could only mint using ApeCoin. So there's definitely been some hints along the way, but now it's official. So we saw this from the Yuga Labs Twitter account. Today, we're excited to welcome the WeNew Labs and 10KTF team to Yugaverse. Together, we will push the boundaries of where the metaverse meets reality through creative storytelling and immersive experiences, right? I'm going to show you 10KTF if you're not so sure of it, but just to show you the Wagmi-san. So Wagmi-san is basically the shopkeeper at 10KTF. I'll take you to his website also. And they basically do collabs with different collections that allow you to make wearables like backpacks and caps and things like that with a design of your NFT that you hold at the time of minting on it, right? So here you can see, and they've been great at storytelling. This is the shopkeeper over here. They create awesome videos, and they really have been engaging. So you can see here he's finding the blue serum in the other side, drinks it, and now he's in the world, right? Which is really, really cool. But here you can see the quality of their graphics and the quality of their videos are really, really incredible, and have always been like this. So they definitely do storytelling through video incredibly, incredibly well. And a lot of people really like this project, 10KTF, right? We did see they went up about 25% or so when it was announced. Here you can see the shop, and then I don't want to connect my wallet, but if you go in, it will tell you whether the shop is open or not. I might be able to do it without, no, you can't. I want to take you onto their Opensea just to show you their collection. I wonder if the link is here or if I'm going to have to find it. No, link is not there. So let's just jump onto Opensea just to show you guys if you're not sure. So the one criticism I do have of 10KTF is that it is quite confusing. The ecosystem is quite diverse. I mean, there's a lot of different collections. So you've got here the 10KTF, then you've got the stockroom. They also did the collab with Gucci so that you could use your NFT like a Bored Ape, a Mutant, and various others and dress it up in Gucci items. And then they also had a weapons drop a couple of months ago as well. So those are their main collections. And you'll see it does get a little bit confusing, but I want to show you because often a picture will tell 1,000 words. Okay, it's not coming up there. So we'll leave the weapons for now. But if we have a look here, 10KTF. So they went all the way to 0.45 after the news, but here's an example of it. So you get different items. The floor ones are socks with different NFTs on it. Obviously, the more sought after the NFT is, the higher the floor. So if you have a Bored Ape backpack, that's going to go for a lot more than only one force backpack. Here's, you can see you've got your mutant cap over here, but also, and your hoodie, different items with a cryptode on it. But also if you go in here and just have a look, you can see that the different types and how rare they are. So there's currently only 24 day packs. So this on the floor, even it's an only one force, yes, but this on the floor is quite crazy. Let's just have a look here. If we just sort it according to day packs. Okay, no, that's a backpack, not a day pack. Okay, then socks, you've got 1,000. Footwear, you've got 1,900. Headgear, you've got 2,200. Jerseys and outerwear, 2,300. Shoes, 5,000. And bags, 10,000. So that just gives you an idea of the rarity. Also, a lot of people don't really like having someone else's NFT on their, someone else's like picture of their NFT on their NFT, if that makes sense. But a Bored Ape hoodie over here. So yeah, I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea. Then you can also go to the shop and buy blanks. So you can buy blank cotton, blank rubber, blank socks, so that when the shop opens again, you can print on those items, a blank backpack. Here you can see the shoes and so on, right? So those are the blanks, and you can see, I mean, the floor is quite decent. Even the cheapest thing like the rubber or the cotton is sitting at 0.069, and then it jumps up quite substantially as you go forward with it, right? And here you've got the grails, and again, World of Women on the floor, Pudgy Penguin, only one forces, but you can see this is their original. That's so cool. This is this guy's original Pudgy Penguin, but dressed up in Gucci apparel, right? So there was a whole arbitrage opportunity here. You know, if you sell this, you still own your original Pudgy, but someone owns a Pudgy that looks like yours dressed in Gucci, right? So a lot of guys with Bored Apes were lending out their Bored Apes at a time. You know, the Bored Ape floor here for these was about 3 Ethereum for the grails. Now I'm sure it's quite down here. So here we start to see Bored Apes over here at about 1 ETH. There's your mutants. So that's one of the other collections. So that just gives you an idea. Obviously, the thing that I think adds value to the Yuga ecosystem is the ability to have accessories for their other side. So they'll definitely now be doing drops for mutants and Bored Apes and dogs, I'm sure, where you can customize your own different wearables for the metaverse. And we are seeing with CloneX, Adidas, and everything like that, that wearables seem to be, you know, part of what they think is going to be the future of the metaverse, a big part of the future in the metaverse, right? So great. We're seeing Yuga and 10KTF have partnered up together, and I think it's really exciting news, and I think it's a good fit. And now we've got Beeple as an advisor to the project, to Yuga. So he's officially now an advisor to Yuga Labs. Definitely a notable name in the space. All right, then other really big news. We've got Nike launching Swoosh. They're calling it Swoosh. You can go Nike.swoosh. And they're launching it on Polygon. And this is being launched by Nike themselves. So, you know, RTKFT is part of Nike, but this is now almost a separate thing altogether. So these guys, Nike wants to bring digital wearables to the masses. So this is really great. This is really, really bullish. There are going to be some special collabs between CloneX holders or RTKFT asset holders and Swoosh. So it's not like a competitor to RTKFT, right? But it does mean that there's now going to be most people, you won't have to own a CloneX in order to get some of the wearables, right? And so they're launching it to the masses. I think this is great for the space. You know, I hope it takes off, and I hope people start to enjoy it. And then, you know, behind that, they realize, oh, this is actually an NFT, and leads them to have some interest in it, right? So here it says Swoosh starts as a place where you can collect your favorite virtual shoes, jerseys, or accessories. But as it evolves over time, it will become a home for our entire community to buy, trade, and co-create virtual products. That's right. In a world, some of you will get the chance to learn how to build virtual creations that can be worn in video games and experiences. And for a select few creators who win our community challenge, you can earn a royalty from the virtual products that you create. I think that's really, really cool. And here you can see some of their marketing for it, right? Every day we got better. It's just one of their quotes. So yeah, guys, I mean, we saw with Reddit, you know, how big that was, the effect it had. Can you imagine with Nike, if they can successfully pull this off and get non-Web3 or non-NFT guys interested in the space and get NFTs into their hands, it could be really, really bullish. It really, really could. Over here, we can see part of what they're doing. The Swoosh platform is built as the epicenter of Nike's digital efforts around Web3. It's designed to spotlight the brand's NFTs and virtual apparel initiatives, including future ways for customers to become co-creators and share in digital product royalties. Nike will use the platform as a hub to launch virtual apparels like t-shirts, sneakers for avatars that can be used within Web3 games. It will also utilize Web3 tech to allow users to unlock real-world benefits, such as exclusive physical apparel or chats with pro athletes. Some other popular NFT projects, including one from Adidas, come with physical apparel or real-world perks. We are sharing marketplace of the future with an accessible platform. It's interesting that they chose Polygon. I think it's a good choice. I really, really do. They've already got, Ethereum with RTKFT, and Polygon's really cheap and very capable to do mass like this, right? They're saying that these will start at about $50 for the digital collectibles that are launched by Swoosh, right? And we have seen a rise in CryptoKicks, RTKFT's first digital sneaker, because that's going to have huge collectible relevance going forward, because it was the first digital one, and now we see that Nike is rolling out to all of their users the ability to own future digital shoes. So I do think that the CryptoKicks will continue to hold value and collectability for sure. So I'm really interested in this. I think it's really, really cool and really good for the space. All right, going from someone who's doing it really, really well to a company that's unfortunately not doing it so well as it stands now. And we had yesterday or the day before, Adidas launch its virtual range, its virtual gear, and it really didn't go according to plan, right? And they only had about 16 designs. And I don't know, guys. I mean, for me, it just, I don't know. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this. I mean, this is one of the designs. Whereas Nike is doing normal hoodies with like the chips inside of them and a few little design features, but normal hoodies for their metaverse characters. Here we see a completely different approach, which is fine. It's good to have a different approach, but it looks, forget the fact that it's on a fly, it just looks alien even by itself. It doesn't, it's not possible to wear this. And even if it was, you get those fashion shows where the designer of the fashion shows just lost the plot. And he's got like girls wearing plastic bags, black garbage bags. And it's, like trying to be futuristic or steampunk. And it just doesn't work. So we saw these launched. If you owned a capsule, you could mint one for free. The really cool one is the Yuga Lab collab one. And there's also another collab one that does really, really well. All the rest of them are just strange. They've been busy for 4 months, right, Adidas, and this is what they come out with, like a range of 16 different designs. It's very, very, very disappointing. And we did see that in the capsule price. It went from a 0.35 ETH floor all the way down to 0.1, and now it's sitting at about 0.14. So people were just dumping the capsules, not interested in even minting the wearables. The wearable collection went all the way down to 0.05 ETH and is now sitting at 0.1 ETH. So yeah, guys, I think Adidas needs to up their game here. When I was looking at purchasing Adidas NFTs, I love Nike in real life and in NFTs. I like Adidas as a brand, but I'm not enjoying them yet in NFTs in the Web3. And then I also looked into Puma. Nike has got the biggest turnover as far as a Web2 company. Adidas is about 70% of there, and then Puma's way, way, way down, which is interesting because if you look at Puma's NFT pricing, it's quite close to Adidas. And it shouldn't be, because Adidas is a much, much larger company. So that made me buy an Adidas NFT or a couple of different ones, because there's a whole ecosystem there. The one is for the avatars, which are coming out early next year, and then you had the capsules now, which were for the metaverse. But I definitely was more bullish than when I saw these 16 designs over here. Crypto Dream says it's unique. I don't know if he's being kind or if he actually likes it. Please be more specific. It is unique, but so is a model wearing black bags, right? I don't know. For me, not my cup of tea. Also think, as I said, the fact that it took 4 months to come up with this just shows that they're not taking this like they should, and that they're not in touch with Web3 and what Web3 people want, really. We did see a cool teaser video that they launched, which was really cool, with famous sports players, and that the floor of capsules flew all the way to 0.4 at a stage because of that. And there they debuted the Bored Ape one, which is the coolest of them all. But then, yeah, a real disappointment from my side. Don't know what you guys think. Would be interested to see. But let's jump here and see if we can see if they've been revealed yet. Okay, so the originals into the metaverse are the avatars. And then we got Impossible Box. It's now sitting at 0.17, so it's come up a bit. And then where is the wearable one? Well, let's see, maybe it links to it. Over here. Okay, so they've gone up to 0.16 from about 0.15. This is what you would buy if you want to redeem it for a random wearable. I really would like to see it. I had it here. All right, I'm not going to spend more time looking for it, but you have seen the designs, and yeah, that's my thoughts on it. All right, so some more really bullish news for Web3. We've got Sony. Everyone knows Sony, really big electronics brand, and they file patents for tracking in-game digital assets with NFTs. So again, we're just seeing another big Web2 company who is now looking at NFTs as part of their future. Obviously, filing patents is the beginning of that, but it shows that the entertainment giant Sony applied for a patent in 2021 for a system that tracks digital assets in video games using blockchain technology, specifically NFTs. The patent was made public on the 10th of November 2022, so about a week ago. And they say in traditional video games, there's no way to differentiate a specific instance of an in-game item that a famous player of the video game used to win a famous tournament from any other instance of the in-game item, right? According to the application, Sony wants to use a distributed ledger or blockchain to record digital media assets, gameplay, and video clips, and include a unique token for the digital item with a unique identifier and metadata that would identify properties of the digital assets. While the filing is only a patent, it does show that Sony is interested in entering the growing NFT gaming field, according to CoinGecko and others. Changes to properties to digital assets such as ownership, visual appearance, or metadata can be identified in a request to update the history, Sony writes. A new block can be generated for or appended to the distributed ledger, identifying the changes and the history of the digital asset. So again, we just have another really notable big name seeing the value of blockchain technology and leaving their options open by having patents filed should they move forward with it. So really nice to see, bullish, and I like that. All right, just another article of the same thing over here. Just want to see, there was one thing different that I wanted to take you through here. Oh, yeah. Sony has previously explored using blockchain technology for music copyright management and education, but this is the first hint that it's interested in it for gaming. In the latest follows other gaming giants like Bandai Namco and Square Enix, which has also signaled interest in and support for blockchain and NFTs. Not everyone is so eager. We do know gaming guys don't particularly love us all the time, but yeah, really bullish and another great story for the space. All right. Another big name, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo launching an NFT collection with Binance. Obviously a massive name. And, this was one of the first times that I had a friend in real life who's not interested in NFTs message me So he messaged me and he said, "Did you see this? And how cool is this?" Which is interesting because it's just showing that non-Web3 native guys are starting to, with things like this, the value of a name like Ronaldo is that people start to hear about it that otherwise wouldn't, and start to take a bit of an interest in it, which is really, really great. So one of the greatest athletes of all time, we all know, Ronaldo has partnered with Binance to launch the Icon's premier NFT collection. The initial arrival of the NFT collaboration will be available to consumers on November the 18th. Subsequently, which is today, guys, this marks a multi-year partnership with one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchange platforms on the planet. Just want to see, let's see if we can play this without making it too big. Otherwise, we might get a strike. Without keeping it for too long. Okay, so we'll make it smaller again. See, you learn little tricks, right? So here you can see on his Twitter, it says, "My NFT collection is coming 18th, November the 18th, exclusively on Binance. This is your chance to join my Web3 community and own iconic moments from my career." So get CR7 is the token that they're using. It's going to be interesting. I mean, what we have seen is when we have hype names in the space, hype names outside of the space come into the space, there's hype in the beginning and then it dies. And that's typically what we see. I mean, let's just call a spade because, they typically, and I'm not saying that this is going to be the case here or not, but typically these guys don't have time to sit in Discord and build a community and work on this as much as they want to. It's usually being run by a whole team of theirs. And, if the going gets tough and it becomes too much of a headache, they typically don't give it much energy or effort. And that's what we've seen. And I could rattle off a million names of projects that people were excited for. As it launched, the fraud did pretty well, sold out. And then, we had Shaq, we had Johnny Depp, we had a million people come on collections and pretty much slow rug after that, right? Must just say that Shaq's one was all donated to charity, just to call a spade, so he didn't personally profit off it, right? But yeah, lots of examples of that. Let's see what this one is. I hope this one will be different and that he really gives huge utility. I mean, he could do like box seats to some games. He could do signed merch. He could do so much if he wanted to that really adds value to people who otherwise wouldn't get access to this sort of stuff from Ronaldo or this sort of exposure. He could do a half an hour lunch with him to one of the holders. He could do so much with this if he wanted to. And yeah, I'd like to see what happens. I'm always optimistic, and then I always get disappointed, so I'm cautiously optimistic, because the optimistic side of it is that these guys have got a big name and a big brand, and surely they want to protect that name and not be known as the rugger. The opposite side to that is they know that it's only maybe 100, 200,000 active wallets in the whole space, and that's not a big part of their fan base. And so, if it's too much of a headache, they just leave. So let's see. We'll see what happens, but definitely good for the space overall. As we said, always good to have a name come out. The starting price of these was $77. There was 6,600. So yeah, not too expensive, but there were 40 super rares starting at 1,700 US dollars. And yeah, I mean, look, even the name of the collection seemed, I noticed to myself here, the name of the collection is even lazy, right? So yeah, guys, let's see. We'll see what happens. Don't want to FUD it before we've given the guy a chance. I hope he proves all of us skeptics very, very wrong and delivers an amazing Web3 product to us. All right, so just to touch on, I know there's a lot of channels talking about this, everything. Just to touch on it a bit, we had John Ray, who is now the CEO of FTX through its bankruptcy. He's been appointed to take it through and try and recover some funds for investors and consumers. He came out with a 40-something page thing, just an initial finding. And he said in his 40-year career, he has never seen something as bad as this, right? And he worked on Enron, he's worked on a lot of huge companies that have folded, and he says he's never ever seen anything like this, right? 30-page document. He reveals numerous instances of poor record keeping, fraud, malpractice, and in his opening statement he says, "Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here." So that's quite interesting. He also clarified that that Sam Bankman-Fried no longer represents FTX or Alameda in any way or form. So all of this with Sam saying he's trying to raise funds to bail out, he can't. He's got nothing to do with it. And we also had news that the government of the Bahamas is the one who asked them to drain some of the accounts and after the bankruptcy was filed, so that they could try to recover for some of the funds for the users. So separate to the hack, or whatever you want to call it, it's not nothing's been proven, but I have to choose my words very carefully here. The general consensus of public opinion of court is that there was an insider job on the hack, either Sam himself or someone from his team or something like that. You know, the hack was where there was malware put on the phone, guys were told to update their app, and hundreds of millions of dollars was wiped out. Separate to that, before that, some people's accounts and people who didn't update or interact with the account, some people's FTX accounts just showed a zero balance. And the Bahamian government has said they were the ones that told Sam to do that, and they've got those funds to try and reimburse people when it gets there. Don't know how much that was, right? The other thing that came out in this report that was really, really telling is that the 5.5 billion valuation that Sam had put on some of the semi-liquid assets is actually just worth $659,000. Now, to be fair, obviously, a large portion of that was FTX tokens, and since the collapse of FTX, those tokens have gone pretty much to zero. So, you know, that could be, you know, I don't think it's 5 billion worth was the FTX token. I think if it was about 35 or 40%, I stand to be corrected. But the bottom line is that the asset value on the balance sheet of FTX was hugely inflated and not realistic even before the FTX token went down to it. What is interesting is that we're seeing very big Web2 journalists and journalistic institutions reporting on this as if these Sam Bankman-Fried and everyone else involved are innocent and all the rest, which is really interesting. And what's come out is how much political influence these guys have and how much money FTX was giving to the government, specifically the Republicans. And so there's a whole net, but just wanted to touch on it, give you guys an update where we're at, and basically that John Ray has never seen anything like this in his life. A bit of good news is that Binance has said that they are launching an industry recovery fund. Details are very, very sparse. I think from a PR perspective, even if you're not doing it for outreach perspective, just from a PR perspective, I think it's a good thing to do for Binance to come out and do this and to try and help to a small degree. I think selfishly for themselves, it's a good thing for them to do. It's a good opportunity to capitalize on it. I must be honest, I am, and this is just my personal opinion completely, but I am, obviously it's natural. I really looked to SBF as one of the good guys. And so you start looking at everyone as are they good, are they bad? So Binance with CZ, everyone's looking at him as the knight in shining armor, like we did SFP a year ago, or even a month ago. And now you start asking yourself, is CZ's hands clean? Yes, they've shown their assets holdings and they've been a lot more transparent. I'm sure it's being run a lot better than FTX was. But there are a lot of dealings between FTX and Binance. And I think there's more than meets the eye here. And I think the bottom line is, like we started with last week's show, is at this point, at any point, but specifically at this point, if you have any crypto on exchanges, any exchange, I would take it off. Put it in a cold wallet, put it in your MetaMask account where you hold the keys. Because, we even seen with Gemini now, they're saying that if by Monday they don't raise $1 billion, they could be in trouble. And that could be bigger than FTX because they have a massive flow chart of companies under them. That could really, really be big, right? So we've got to be really, really careful. Any money on exchanges, I would take off, definitely. And I would never leave them on. That's the whole nice thing about crypto, is that you can hold your own, you can be your own bank. You don't need to rely on third parties. Yes, we do need the exchanges to trade. Put money on that you need to trade, and then take that money off. Don't leave it sitting on any exchange, especially during this time where there's still a lot of stuff going on and a lot of dominoes are starting to fall as a result of the Voyager that happened a couple of months ago, and now FTX, and now whoever else is going to come next. So really important, guys, just to keep that in mind. All right, so to switch back to NFTs a bit, or art NFTs, we got CryptoPunks. Is going to be coming to art museums. So what they've done is they've donated one CryptoPunk already to an art museum, and we saw the guy who's running CryptoPunks for Yuga, Noah, was the head of digital art on Sotheby's, right? And then Yuga took him on board, and he said he wants to preserve CryptoPunks as an art project and a legacy project. They're not launching any additional collections, anything like that. He wants it preserved as modern art. So his approach here, what he wants to do, and what he is doing, is he's donated Punk number 305 to the Miami Institute of Contemporary Art. Okay, they offer free admission, and it will be viewable there. After they do a private unveiling, it will be viewable there by anyone who comes into the museum. Punk 305 was chosen in part because his number corresponds to Miami's phone area code, or one of Miami's phone area code 305. And also Miami's the hometown of two of Yuga's co-founders. So, it makes a bit of sense. So this is the CryptoPunk here that's now going to be in the museum. And they are looking for other museums to do the same. So they've said it's not about the number of punks that we're going to do this with, but finding museums and legacy art organizations that want to enter Web3 for the right reasons. Quality over quantity. So they carefully looking for the right institutions to donate these to, where they believe that it will be preserved, and that also it will get a lot of new eyes on an NFT, which a lot of people walking into an art museum are seeing relics from 10,000 years ago and dinosaur teeth and whatever else they show in art museums. And here you're going to have something new that's in an art museum. I do think over time that will hold the collection in good stead, and is very consistent with what Noah said he wants to do with CryptoPunks. Basically that he feels they're contemporary art and they belong in museums, right? As we know, CryptoPunks, for anyone that doesn't know, was a free mint in 2017 and was one of the first on-chain NFTs, yielded over $2.4 billion in secondary volume since that date, which is absolutely incredible, right? As we know, you get your Bored Ape guys and you get your punk guys, you get guys that are both. But punks are the OGs. They are the OGs, and we now see the flippening of punks versus apes. We've got the CryptoPunk floor sitting slightly higher than the apes, 66 ETH, whereas the apes are about 60 ETH, and that's been the same for about a week now. Will that stay? I don't know. With the staking that's coming for Bored Ape Yacht Club and the rest, I do expect a short-term pump in the floor of all Yuga assets, short-term meaning the next 2 weeks until staking goes live. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the CryptoPunk versus Bored Ape floor price. All right, then in other news, we saw that Opensea came out a few days ago and said that Opensea royalties will continue to be enforced. So they always were enforcing them, but then they came out with a tweet saying, should they continue enforcing them, we'll take people's comments. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks of quite a lot of backlash from projects and artists. We saw Ferocious wrote a letter to Opensea saying that he was able to escape terrible personal situations, and living environment and abuse, because of royalties on NFTs, and that it would really be a terrible shame for Opensea to go this route. We then saw projects like Deadfellas, Betty writing an open letter to Opensea. We saw Adam Bomb Squad writing another decent NFT collection linked to a Web2 fashion brand, also delaying their launch, saying they will not launch on OpenSea until they know whether their royalties are protected or not. And then we saw OpenSea come out and say, okay, they've heard everyone, and they are going to continue to enforce NFT royalties. Now, I'm actually really happy about this. Anyone who watches me knows that I'm for royalties as long as they are within reason, percentage-wise, and are used properly. Obviously, when a project rugs, and people fight and sitting at a 5 ETH floor and everyone sells, and it goes down to a 0 ETH floor, it's horrible that the project is making money on those sales in those last days when it's dying. So obviously for nefarious projects, you'd rather there weren't royalties. But you've got to know that a lot of builders and a lot of artists and a lot of good people come into the space because of the lure of the royalties, and that's what keeps them there, and that's what keeps them going to work every day, working on the project. What's interesting here to me is that OpenSea never discussed their royalty of 2.5%, right? So all they were talking about really was, should they enforce the collection royalties that are set by the collection, and I do think that it was an opportunity for them to definitely relook at their percentage that they charge. And the reason I say that is because they're just not competitive with other marketplaces anymore. You've got LooksRare charging 0.5. You've got most of the other ones, the Blur now charging 0%. I just think selfishly, they need to become more competitive, and 2.5% is not going to cut it on their side. But that wasn't discussed whatsoever. All they said is that they are awed by the passion that we've seen from the creators and collectors alike this week. We're looking for your feedback, and we heard it loud and clear. And they're going to be continuing to keep their royalty there. What is interesting, and what we saw today, is that X2Y2 came out with the same today. So this is really interesting. 18th of November. So what's that? 5 hours ago. We've got X2Y2, who notoriously was one of the first to say that they're not enforcing royalties, has now done a complete U-turn and said going forward they will enforce royalties on all collections. So that's what it says here. X2Y2 will enforce royalties on all collections. We used to believe the best way to handle royalties is to give both parties, creators and traders, the right to choose. It's the rationale behind our flexible royalty feature, and we believe so. Putting belief aside, if there was anything self-evident in crypto, it's the code. Since OpenSea released the open filter 2 weeks ago, and I'll take you through what the open filter is now, that's something different, most of the new projects have sided with it. Code is law, and we respect the law. An hour ago, we removed the flexible royalty setting from all new listings of NFTs with open filter. It's an easy decision. But what about the existing ones? For a more unified and smoother user experience, we have enforced royalties for them too. Another easy decision. We may have a different view on the best way of handling royalties with OpenSea, yet we respect the code. With OpenSea risking its market share and taking a brave move to defend royalties, they have our respect. Too many tools and features need to be built for the NFT space, and there's no time better than a bear market to think deeper and build harder. Stay tuned for more coming from us soon. Last but not least, to our friends, partners, and rivals, let's pour our time into building rather than racing on royalties. See you on the other side of the bear. So wow, so that's our X2Y2 now, complete U-turn. Generally, it's been received well. OpenSea says proud to stand with you, and so on and so forth. So yeah, really, really cool. Nice to see. And yeah, as I said, personally, I'm quite happy about this. Then what they were talking about there is that what OpenSea has launched a tool that allows projects who are launching with OpenSea to hard code in the contract whether their NFT can be sold without royalties on other marketplaces in the future. So effectively, if let's just say John wanted to launch an NFT collection, he goes to OpenSea and he can specifically code into that, which we always knew could be done, but OpenSea facilitates this, can specifically code into the contract. This can never be sold without a 5% royalty, basically meaning that it cannot be listed on Blur or any other marketplace that doesn't respect creator royalties. It won't be able to be listed there, and it won't be able to be sold there. So it basically limits NFT sales to marketplaces that charge creative fees. And that's what X2Y2 was saying when they said, we've seen that a lot of projects have launched, a lot of the projects that have launched on OpenSea have chosen to use this tool. Now, I think one point that needs to be brought up here is that obviously it is very possible that those particular projects chose OpenSea specifically because they're the only place currently that allows them to put in the smart contract that it cannot be tradable on other exchanges. So yes, maybe let's just say 80% of projects in the last 2 weeks since OpenSea launched this have all opted for this, but maybe only a quarter of those projects would have launched through OpenSea if it weren't for this ability, if you know what I mean. So just one thing to keep in mind. So what's going to be quite interesting is to see what's going to happen going forward. The next couple of months, do we see a lot of projects still launching on OpenSea with this feature? Do we see some of them going to X2Y2 and so on and so forth? Oh my God, Cade, I'm going to kill you.
Yo, why are you starting already?
Gentleman, Cade Bergman. Oh, Cade. All right, bro. So it's now 10:30 in South Africa. You turned your clocks back. We didn't realize. Next week, can you come an hour earlier, please?
Oh, yeah. Wait, I need to switch that for all the weeks. That makes sense for tea time too, or no, it doesn't. Okay, yeah. Wow. So you've been going for an hour?
Wow. I've been going for an hour, Kate. I've been sitting here. Look,
I'm sorry,
you can tell. You can tell how much juice I've got. I haven't had a chance to take a breath.
No,
man.
Bro. Well, look. Technically, I'm 2 minutes early. 1 minute early now. Here, hold on.
I don't understand.
Wow,
I don't understand why countries are still even keeping this. I don't get it.
That is
why do we have
annoying.
It's so confusing to so many people. We live in a global world. Just keep your clocks the fucking same. Everyone. What are you doing?
I just changed all of them. And I assume I'm going to have to move up tea time, which is going to be a fucking problem. Because that's already 11 a.m.
Okay, we'll worry about tea time another time. But I've been sitting here cursing you. Well, I can't catch you up on like an hour of
Yes,
talking.
you can, bro. Just hit me with the headliners. Crypto Dream, help us out, bro. Hit me with the headliners.
All right, and I can tell you the headliners. Let's go. All right, so we came in. We didn't even mention Kate, so I had to edit the whole script that welcomed you back, and all the rest of that was completely gone. Then we spoke about trending. We saw a new project that's a gaming project sitting at 0.05 with 100 million funding that I think could be the next Digidaigaku, not financial advice. We then looked at Yuga and 10KTP, which has been bought, and Beeple, and we looked quite a bit into the Yuga, into the 10K TF ecosystem and everything there, and that was quite interesting. We then spoke about Nike Swoosh. So Nike is launching on Polygon for Web2 people, the ability to get digital collectibles. We then spoke about Sony, who has launched a pattern for NFT gaming, which is quite cool. We then looked at Adidas's drop of its metaverse wearables, which went terribly wrong, and we looked at why. Crypto Dream was on the fence whether he liked it or not, but I think it's absolutely horrible. We then looked at Cristiano Ronaldo is launching an NFT collection and spoke about the fact that usually these big names tend to rug, but we hope that this time it will be different. We then spoke a little bit about FTX and John Ray, the Enron new CEO, who says that in his 40 years, he has never seen anything as bad as this with mismanagement in his entire life. We then spoke about the fact that Binance has launched an industry recovery fund, and that I'm still skeptical of CZ, because if SBF could do this to us, so could CZ. And I just think you should take all your money off exchanges. This is an exchange issue, not a crypto issue. We then looked at CryptoPunks in art museums. They've donated a punk to a Miami art institution and their vision and where they're taking it. We then spoke about Opensea royalties, which they're now enforcing for creators. But something I'm sure you didn't know is that X2Y2 has now said that they are joining Opensea and are now enforcing creator royalties. So from this second, X2Y2, who was known to be one of the first to say that there wouldn't be royalties, has now sided with OpenSea and made that change going forward. We then spoke about how OpenSea is allowing NFT royalties to be implemented on chain. And then my dear friend Kate Bergman came and I summed up where we up to so far.
Legend, bro. Yeah, apologies on that one, but I am glad I made it at all. I was literally like, oh man, I got 15 minutes. I'm going to get up 5 minutes earlier than normal. I'm going to pop in there and we're going to crush it. And then I was like, wait a second. I saw your message and you were like, where are you? Like an hour ago? And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, whatever. And then I like started getting out. And then I was like, wait a fucking second. And then I jumped in and I was like, wait, he's already in there. And I was like, all right, not sure about that. Crypto Dream. Hey, the man.
I got $5 for that recap. I'm going to start doing a recap in the middle of every single show.
Yo, you know what? Actually, that's a great segment for you. If you did that at either the beginning or the end, if you summed it up in like 30 to 45 seconds, you could have that be your like weekly roundup as a content bit for short form.
Yeah,
we might have just cracked the code. That what if that goes viral? What if it goes viral because I was fucking late, and now this becomes the biggest blessing of all time?
It happens for a reason. I must be honest. When you didn't come, I did think to myself, "Oh fuck, it must be the turning the clock back thing." I did think that, and I did think that like hopefully halfway through. Otherwise, I was just be concerned if you didn't come, like, because I did think it could be that. When you weren't here. But I also, in the back of my mind, I've been worried the whole time. Where is Kate? Is he okay?
I appreciate you, bro.
100%. Should we keep going? The nice thing is that at the end, we can chat laugh now because you've got an extra 2 hours that you usually would from now. Right.
I just tweeted it too. I just tweeted it. I already had a couple of questions. I forget where I asked it somewhere else before. So we should be good for like Q&A stuff.
We've got the Q&A coming up. That's awesome. But for now, let's keep going. So more bullish news in the space. The amount of NFT trademarks that have been filed in 2022 so far, I don't know why these pages are all reloading, is much more than any year before already. So if you have a look over here, I found this really, really cool. I want to look at the summary for the years, not for the months. So if you look here, 2021, there was a total of 2,142 that were filed. Here we go. And 2022 so far, we've already had like close to 6,855. So 2021 was 2,100 and 2022 so far is 6,800. That's almost a 300% increase so far. So we can say that it's almost 4 times by the end of this year. There'll be 4 times the amount of trademarks filed for NFT related stuff than there was in 2021. And obviously 2021 was hugely up from 2020 already, right?
That's lit, dude. That's actually really cool. That's bullish for like the business side of Web3, I guess. There's a lot of the big companies. A lot of them have been quiet too. They don't really like say much. They just kind of file it. They're like, hey guys, we should probably do this just in case. Also,
so we even saw that with the Sony, not at all. We saw that with the Sony trademark that I spoke about before you came. They actually filed it a year ago and only released it now.
Okay.
They only told everyone now that they filed it. What did you want to say there?
I was just gonna say, Craig O, Crypto Corner. I forget if you met him or not. He's a fantastic podcaster. If not, I'd love for you to go on his show. He's fantastic. He just hosted the event that I spoke at, and he just had NFT God on. Do you know NFT God on Twitter? The thread dude?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So he just had him on the show. It was a great episode, and he asked him what he thought about like ENSs and stuff like that from like a business side. He's like, where do you see that like fitting in the ecosystem? And he was like, bro, that shit is stupid. Is basically what his answer was. And that was one of the questions. It might have been me who just had that question, but at some point I want to talk about the ENSs. But it is interesting seeing the first wave of what businesses are doing to kind of like line themselves up and say, okay, like what's the direction we're going to take this? What are the first steps? And it is funny that a lot of the companies, that's their first step versus all the Web3 companies who started in Web3 just started with like a dropping a 10,000 collection picture of monkeys and pandas and stuff like that. Like, I wonder how many of those companies have already filed trademarks or have done taxes, you know, like, I don't know. The projects between 0.1 and 0.4, I'm very interested to see what happens in the next 6 to 8 months. Like if they have, I don't know. I'm just interested in that whole thing.
100%. So why did he say, we can chat about it now before we get into the next topic. Why did he say ENSs was stupid? What was his reason?
I think part of it was he was just like, blockchain at some point is going to get to a point where we aren't going to talk about it. It's not going to be like a thing. .eth isn't going to be like a thing. In my head, I was like, yeah, but like it's still necessary. So I'm like, it's just going to depend if like the .eth has any functionality, like .com has the ability for the websites. And his point was just like, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. He kept saying it over and over, and I couldn't tell. It feels like one of those answers that he just had kind of like subscribed to the idea and he was going with it. It just seemed like, I was like, what's your job going to be if like none of this exists? His idea was like, everything needs to fade to the background. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. A lot of the nerdy stuff can go to the background. But like, what about the entertainment side and the industry side? I was like, if the industry just falls apart because everything goes behind the scenes, then like, why are you here? Like, why do you even mute an ape? You know, and I couldn't understand it. So I was trying to figure it out. I feel like there's an in-between. Some ENS is my whole value.
Is he saying ENS itself, or is he saying any unique Ethereum address?
The whole concept. He just thinks it doesn't matter. So bubble is going to burst. Is what I think that was his exact words. It was going to burst. I don't know. That one's really tough for me.
I don't agree at all. Whether ENS ends up being the .com of the blockchain or not is debatable. Mm-hmm. But they definitely have a lead now, a substantial lead.
Yeah.
And there will be a company, whether it be ENS or not, that is like the email addresses of crypto. And whoever that is going to have an amazing business because people will pay yearly to renew it. And everyone wants something that they like, your email address or like your website. They want something that they resonate with, that is always theirs, that can prove that it's them. And I think that, as I said, I don't know that ENS will sustain. I personally think they will, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think there will be a company that does this either better than ENS has done it, cheaper than ENS has done it, that gets accepted. Because that's the real thing. The real thing is, what does the community accept as it being the standard, right? And for now, it is ENS. You know, a lot of people are very proud to put their username and whatever and make it their wallet address public and call it .ENS. So, you know, you could have a service that is a lot cheaper than ENS, because ENS is not cheap to renew. It's cheap to register, but after a year, it's not cheap to renew. So you could have a service that does everything ENS does, even more cheaper. But if no one buys into it, then it's not going to work. And we've seen the amount of volume that's been traded on ENS. So far, the most that people identify with is .ENS. So they've got a very big lead, and they could always reduce their fees or do whatever to be competitive, right?
Yep. No, I agree. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but do you notice like my setup looks a tiny bit different? Did you notice?
I'm gonna look now. I think there was lightning in the background.
Whoa! What was that? Is this the soundboard?
No, that's thunder. That's legitimate thunder. There was a lightning and.
Wait, that was real. That wasn't a sound effect?
No.
Oh shit! Get out of here! All right, everyone drops a like for that.
Yeah, I'm in Africa, man. All the elephants are running from the noise and all the. No, that's not a sound effect. That's legitimate. I said to you, I saw a light. Yeah, it must have been lightning. And you know what's interesting is that if you count from when you see a flash of lightning to when you hear thunder, you can tell how far the lightning is from you. So if you see the flash and you hear thunder immediately, it's very close. If you see the flash and like that was like 2 seconds, that means it's 2 miles away from here is where that lightning strike just hit.
That's not bullshit. Is that something that dads tell their kids though? I feel like I heard that once. I don't know if that's true. That's true.
It makes sense. It makes sense because sound travels at a certain speed. So if it hit 5 kilometers away, it's going to take 5 seconds before you hear it, right?
I'm going to need Crypto Dream to confirm this in the comment section here.
100% confirmed. 100%,
also, wait, did you notice? Did you notice the difference in something? Something's different.
I'll be able to tell. I'm very perceptive. Just hold on.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to have to remove myself, but then you won't hear me. Kate. How's that going to work? Let's see if I do this. Let me move you here and see if I do this, if it's just you. There we go. You've got you've got shelving there. Have you always had those shelves?
Oh, yeah, bro. The shelves are like the most iconic part of the whole thing, right?
The black shelves. These ones.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's like a staple. That's a staple. Okay, well, actually, that girl. She's a little bit new, but I forgot. She's always been there. She's just been on the side over on this on that side. But there's something different that's not in the background. It's something else in the camera positioning. There's something else going on. It's kind of hard to see, but I did get a standing desk, and that's why I'm standing. And that's why you can see so much above me now. I got a standing desk. Someone was throwing it away in their apartment. It was a perfectly fine desk. They just didn't have time to fucking sell it. They're moving, and I was like, "Yo, let me just like stuff that in my room." He goes, "Sure," and I just took it. And now I'm very happy because I love standing at my desk. It's amazing. The best decision I've ever made was stealing that desk.
Brilliant, man. Okay, all right. I see it now. Let me try to get myself back.
Because look at this. Ooh. If I angle it back to where if I do it for a YouTube video, I'm like this, and now you can see like the entire thing, and now it's like a little bit more apparent that I'm standing.
But that's exactly why I can now see the picture that I could never see before in the shelves. And I'm seeing everything different.
Isn't that cool?
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
I finally have shelves now. I know. I'm thinking about it. So that noodle girl, she's a one of one from Sydney, the only one in existence. And I don't know, people don't know this, but I've gotten offers up to 4 ETH for that NFT. So one of one, it's the only one. And she's got some really diehard fans in the art world and people who love her art. They think she's beautiful or they think she's like amazing or whatever the fuck. I've had many, many big offers on that NFT, but it's such a flex because right now it's the only one, but I bought it literally the day it came out. I remember when she dropped it, I was like on a walk and I literally ran all the way home because at that point it was the middle of the bull market and she was blowing up. And I was like, dude, I have literally 5 minutes to get back. Otherwise, this is going to get sniped. And it was like one soul, but that's when it was like $300 or something.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Priceless.
Well, not priceless, about 4 ETH.
About 4 ETH. I don't know about now. I assume it's still probably worth something like that for the collectors because the collectors will pay a hefty price. But it's such a flex though because it's like that she delivered that poster to me in real life too. So it was awesome. I love it.
It's very cool, and that's the whole thing is the emotional attachment, the story that goes behind it. You know, it's actually interesting. They did a survey on what people who have everything actually value the most. Mm-hmm. Right? It's quite interesting. Like, you know, everyone's like, what you get someone who has everyone or whatever. And you know what the result was? And it wasn't just like asking a few people. It was massive amounts of successful people were interviewed. Experiences. Experiences were the things that people held in highest esteem. Something that money can't buy and that can never be taken away from you, ever. It's always with you. And that's why we find if a product that you have comes with a story that you, like what you just told me now, and you've got a relationship with the artist and you remember when you bought it, that adds such value to you that is priceless. It is priceless. You're right.
See if I can find that photo too. While you're
to you. To someone else worth about
absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I remember getting that. That was so much fun when I bought it. Oh, here I have the original tweet when I bought this. This is back in November 4th, 2021. So a little over a year ago is when I bought this NFT. You can see my old PFP. You recognize that from the OGs? The OG profile picture. But that's when I bought it. I said, I'm definitely going to make it these Genesis pieces. I told everyone to buy it for $10. The floor went to $5,000 the next day. After 2 weeks of me blabbering about it, it went from $10. There was like 10 or 20 on the floor still. I bought like 5 or 10. I kept tweeting about it. I was like, she's going to blow up. She's going to blow up. She's going to blow up. gets a video that blows up. She goes from like 500 to 100,000 overnight. And then everyone is hitting her up for like everything. She starts working with Solsi. She's crushing it. Now I have like 5 or 10 of these. The floor had gone to 5,000, like I said, and it was crazy. Of course, I didn't sell any of them because I'm a fucking idiot. But I still had all of them in my wallet. We ended up using it for marketing and like giving aways and like doing like big whatever is like virtual events and stuff like that. But God, dude, that time was fucking nuts. That time was fucking crazy. When did we meet, Philip? You remember?
I don't.
So, like,
I think. Jesus, bro.
We had recorded a podcast on my channel in the beginning, I think, because you came on,
yes,
and that was a super long time ago. Back when you had the old webcam, right?
No.
I was in Colorado.
I don't think I came onto your channel. I think you came onto me. I don't think I've ever been interviewed by you, Kate.
Nah, that's not true. Hold on, Kate Bergman, Philip. No, I'm 90% sure because I feel like I made a thumbnail called NFT YouTubers Unite. Here, I got it. Right. 6 months ago. 6 months ago. Check it. If you guys haven't seen this, we did a podcast on my channel. NFT YouTubers Unite. Philip hosts the NFT show. I guess I got to change that to the Web3 show. 6 months ago, we recorded that. And that's when you had your shitty webcam.
I actually want to watch it. I'm going to watch it. Because I don't remember it. I sort of remember a little, but I don't. I don't remember what we spoke about.
Dude, you still have your Clone X in that photo. That's so funny. Like, oh, hold on. Let me see if I can pull up the thumbnail so people can see it. That's the old thumbnail. Yeah. I'm trying to hold it there so it'll stay. Damn, bro. Old times. Good times.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, so me and Phil have history.
6 months. 6 months in Web3 is like 60 years.
Exactly. Yeah, me and Philip have been friends for a long time.
Yeah, longer than we've been alive. All right, let's. I actually don't have that much. Let's finish off what I got, and then we can jump into questions, which is cool. Alrighty, so we've got another sort of British story, huge name. We know Rolex. Rolex is a collectible, a physical collectible. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that they have filed trademark applications for NFTs and NFT-backed media and NFT marketplaces, crypto keys and transactions, virtual good auctions, virtual and cryptocurrency exchanges, and transfers. That's everything that they've placed things for. We've always said, and we use an example often, that when you have a Rolex and you buy a second-hand Rolex, you never know whether it's fake or real. You have to get it checked out, and that an NFT would be a perfect fit for a company like Rolex. Well, it seems like someone was listening to someone who said that, because we now have this happening. And here's the actual, some of the trademark things. So everything I read out to you, they've applied for. And interesting that they've also applied for a token, and actually like what they intend to do with it. But just another example of a really well-known, well-established, massive, well-respected company that has come out and trademarked NFT and Web3 related capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, dude. That's litty. I've been thinking about it because, like, I've been thinking about things that people buy. I forget what it was, something I was watching maybe that sparked it, but I was like, what do people buy when they get rich? And I was like, you pretty much get like a nice car, a nice house, probably a watch, and that's pretty much it. Like, what else is there to buy, And I was like, man, Rolex
you
is
get
like
nice
the ultimate
pens,
flex, right? Nice
pens. You get really nice pens as well, like really nice pens, stupid expensive pens. And I mean, that's anything. I mean, then you can get nice linen. You can get like we've got Egyptian cotton 1,000 something thread count. Bro, you got to get that. That's really, really worth it.
It sounds like dude. You know what's interesting? Now that you say it like that, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, fucking, if they planned it like this, which now it sounds like they did, it sounds like they used my strategy, obviously before I have talked about it or even knew about it, of like target audience specifically. Their goal was to attract rich, bored motherfuckers who have nothing else to spend their money on and time to do other than hang out in the yacht club and buy expensive JPEGs. It's really interesting because they were like, if that's the goal, then like they only would attract high ticket and like high value people, versus NFT projects in general don't really care who you are. They just want anyone to mint and they'll take anyone. But it's like, it's very interesting that Bored Apes is the one that blew up, and their specific brand is one that is like bored apes who are just bored. and they have nothing else to do. Like, that's actually really interesting from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. What do you give someone who's got everything? A Bored Ape.
You buy a fucking JPEG. I guess you got nothing else to buy. You already bought the Rolex.
I mean, I think it depends on the level of wealth. Then when you get to a much higher level than either of us can imagine, I think it's yachts and airplanes and shit like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then after that, I think it's just hookers, cocaine, and then jail or death.
Oh man, Phil, have you ever dabbled in the little sniff? You ever do any of that stuff?
Have I ever? No.
Nah, man. Phil's Asian. Tell them the truth.
Yeah, like I'm gonna tell, put on a YouTube video. Even if I had,
listen, bro. You said you're the one who said Q&A. You're the one who said Q&A, but we can back away from it.
Yeah, no, we're backing away from that. Definitely.
Oh man, that's fine.
All right, what else we got here? Not sharing, huh? No, that's it. Okay, we're done, boy.
Hell yeah,
now we got Q&A. So
yeah,
I was starting with Crypto Dream because last week I didn't get to his question. So Q&A, live Q&A. So for those of you that don't know, Kate and I post on our Twitter asking anyone to ask any question that they want that we will answer live on the show. Now is that time. So last week we had NFT Nate ask us to build the best 10 ETH 3 NFT collection. That we did, and then we never got down to here, which is Crypto Dream. So we'll answer Crypto Dream, and then after that we will carry on going. And Kate's got some. So yeah, as we said, we've got extra time, so let's do it. So this is Crypto Dreams. I'm reading it out to you. You wouldn't buy a Bored Ape for $80K US. That was me who said that in this market. And Kate told me yesterday that he doesn't like buying crypto when everything is so uncertain. So you guys have this outlook because NFTs don't usually make comebacks, or do you both not believe in buying when others are fearful?
Great question.
So that's the question.
That's a great question. Do you want me to go first?
It's up to you. I don't mind.
I mean, the only reason I have no problem buying when people are fearful. But I feel like there's a difference between fearful and just like unstable. When it's fearful, it's like maybe in my head I think more like macro economy is more stable than the news, and so in that sense I have no problem buying the dip because it's somewhat stable below it, and I know that the reasons that people are scared are actually bullshit. Right now, the reason people are scared, it's not little bits of bullshit. It's like massive, huge parts of like what is going on right now, especially with FTX. We don't know which stable coins you can even trust. And I'm like, bro, I don't know if Solana's going to stick at $10 or if it's literally going to crash to $2. If Solana if Solana comes down to like $2, I mean, here's what I'll say. I'm looking at Cardano and I'm keeping an eye out for like literally 5 cents. And I'm looking at Solana and I'm looking at like $1 to $4. And like, that's the kind of price I'm buying. Cause I feel like if we stick in this kind of recession, there's no reason that those will get down. I want to buy a mutant at like 7 ETH when ETH is like $1,000. Like I want to be able to do that kind of thing. But I'm waiting for like the macro conditions to be a little bit more healthier. And then when the news will still be like terrible as it always is. But when that's happening, I'm okay buying. But right now, everything is on fucking stick legs. So that's why I haven't bought right now. Staying out of it.
Yeah. So I think that is very, very similar to me. Very similar. So let's just go back a little bit. So my specific words with the Bored Ape was it was at that time $100,000. I said even when I bought it, it was $80,000. It was a great deal. But right now, I don't think I would buy it at $80,000. And I gave the reasoning that the macro is worse than what we think. Crypto is worse than what we think at the moment. So the macro is bad. Crypto has been hit because of the macro. And further than that, the SEC investigating Yuga, that I don't specifically know if I would want to have that amount of money in one ecosystem. So I think what I was saying there to that specific question is that I've obviously got a certain amount of money that I'm willing to put towards crypto and NFTs. There's a certain amount of money that's fixed. It's not an unlimited amount of money. And when we are in such uncertain times in the crypto market because of the macro, but also because of our own shit in the Web3. Do I want to have $100,000 in any one particular ecosystem? No.
Yeah.
I don't. And I even then said I'd buy a mutant or 2 or 3. I'd rather have 10 ETH, 15 ETH, or whatever it may be, $20,000 in Yuga. Yes, I do believe in Yuga long term, very much so. But I don't want to put that percentage of my portfolio in a Yuga NFT.
Yeah.
So that was the answer to that. But with what Kate said is, I agree. So we're now realizing that this is going to be a much longer bear than what we anticipated. We are already about 8 or 9 months into this bear market, and I would be surprised we're probably halfway, which means to buy something now and have it slowly bleed for the next 9 months, I would rather wait to see some green shoots and some positive signs. And then, even if it's not the exact bottom, it will be lower than now if we continue to bleed for 9 months. That's the general thinking. But again, it depends on whether you're looking for trade opportunities or long-term holds. I'm just talking from a long-term perspective. Now, with that said, I will say that because of the ApeCoin staking that now has been confirmed in 2 weeks' time, I bought ApeCoin yesterday because I can see a short-term opportunity where I believe ApeCoin, and it's just my own belief, everyone must do whatever they want. ApeCoin could be a rug, I don't know. But I believe in the next 2 weeks with staking going live, that ApeCoin price is going to go up. And I have a price in mind to exit, and I'm going to sell. I'm not going to stake my mutant. I'm going to sell. And yes, I said my mutant because in that FTX collapse, I picked up a mutant because I do believe in buying when others are fearful. And so I did pick one up because I saw them go all the way to about 10 Ethereum. ETH was 1,100. If I was comfortable, that would have been when I bought a Bored Ape, to be very honest. And we saw that. It went to $50,000. It's now already at 65 again. That would have been if I wasn't scared to put all my eggs in this basket now that there's so much uncertainty, in general, like you saw with FTX's collapse. If Yuga had all their money on FTX, Yuga would be gone. It doesn't matter who you are. If they had all their money on, now they did have some, not all. They did move it off. They weren't, but I'm just hopefully they have it all in cold storage. I just don't want all my eggs in one basket there. So I am still making certain plays, but whereas before there was almost this rush to capitalize and buy it before the floor rises, it's now the opposite. There is no rush. The macro has not changed. If anything, it's worse. The war with Russia is worse. The tensions with China and Taiwan are worse. The economy is worse. You're going to have a global electricity crisis this winter in Europe. Every country in the world has inflation in double digits. So you're really not in a good space at the moment. And you've got Joe Biden running America. The guy can't even get out of bed in the morning, let alone run a country. So and we've got our own problems. I'm not criticizing you guys, let me tell you. But I'm just saying the macro is bad. And when we see the housing numbers coming out next year, which are always a lag indicator, and we start to see all these foreclosures on homes and house prices dropping and people's biggest asset, their home, going on paper down in value, and people losing jobs. We've seen Meta, Facebook, laid off 11,000 people. We've seen Amazon laying off people. We've seen left, right, and center, even good companies that aren't struggling. That's going to start to take effect. So there's no rush now. I'd rather bide my time and take very calculated, shots when it presents.
Yeah, no, that's true. My friend Cole actually bought a mutant ape as well. I told him this would be a good time. I'm not gonna buy yet, but this would be a good time because he's more of a short-term trader. He's coming on the show soon. He's a rapper, but he's also loves NFTs, bro. This motherfucker is making so much money flipping NFTs right now. So we're gonna talk about some of his strategies. He's crushing it. He just has a really good strategy. He loves picking up the rares. He just has an eye for it. Some people just have an eye for these collectors. They just know how to trade. He's just one of those guys. He's really, really effective at it. And he just posted his mutant. So I'm sure, I could see a nice little pump up. That's some pretty fucking bullish. It's a pretty fucking bullish announcement to have 8-point staking. So I'm really interested to see how long that kind of pump could last. If it pumps, I assume it will a little bit, because people are going to want to buy some so they can stake it. So it kind of just makes sense that people are going to buy up. So we'll see what happens. But
I'd be interested to see that for sure. That episode of it. And a follow-up question here, and then we'll go to Luke as well. Do NFTs usually make a comeback? I'll take this one first. Look, I mean, this is my second bear market, but this is my worst bear market. The last bear was a couple of months. It wasn't anything like this.
Yeah.
I think what Gary V has always said is what rings in my mind. 99% of NFT projects are going to go to zero. So 99% are not going to survive this winter. They will not come back. And then you'll have the 1% that will come back and continue to be strong and grow. And when the market recovers, let's just say Yuga is one of those that survives this. When that market recovers, you will start to see the 200, 300, 400,000 Bored Ape floor price again, if Yuga is around when it does recover. So yes, the NFT market as a whole definitely will come back. Obviously, NFTs are very, very risky. Crypto's risky, NFTs more risky, right? So when things are uncertain in the world and people are scared of risky assets, and this bank is folding and this crypto exchange is folding, people's natural thing is to pull everything out and put it under their blankets in a savings account, move it out of the stock exchange, move it out. But when times are good again, and we do know from normal economics that there's ups and downs, there's cycles in the economies of the world. That's what happens. So we're not going to be in an economic bear market forever. We will get to an economic bull market again. And when we do and people get comfortable, we will start to see risky assets like crypto and NFTs doing well again. But there's not going to be many projects left then, but there will be some.
Look,
what do you think?
I have a very specific, I have a very answer that I just don't think I'm wrong. I really just don't think I'm wrong. And all I see is everyone saying the opposite on Twitter by all these. It's mainly the big people with a lot of followers, because they already got their followers. They already made their money. They can say this because there's no risk for their side. I just think they, I don't know what the word is. They're not evil. They're not stupid. I just think they're delusional. They actually think that this is the last time we will see a bull market, and they're like, they will never come back. They will never get to the same amount. I'm like, guys, some of y'all have been through bear markets, and for a fact that they crash always. They always crash 70 to 90%. Everything in crypto always does this. NFTs are the riskiest form of crypto. Of course, they crash 99%. Everyone knew that going in. Gary Vee said that from the very beginning. Pretty much everybody knew that was going to happen. Why do you think that when the bull market doesn't come back, there will not be a new wave of different kinds of projects? There will be a new meta. There will be something else that's popping in the news. The projects will form around that. There will be just as big of a run. Everyone wants to gamble again. It's just a different mindset. You can't have the same mindset in a bear market. It doesn't make sense because people aren't willing to do it. But to think that a bull market is not coming back, or people are not going to gamble on digital assets again, I'm like, y'all are fucking idiots. I don't know what to say. I'm like, yes, there will be. There will be another run. I have no idea what the prices will be. But to think that you're not going to be able to gamble on JPEGs and digital collectibles in the blockchain is silly. They're just going to be more. If the meta is now metaverse projects or game projects, those will blow up, and then there will be a lot of people saying these are bullshit, this, that, and the other. I'm like, there will always be a degen side, especially of crypto. It's part of the DNA baked in. So I do think there will be. I have no idea what they'll be worth, and I don't know which ones will make it. But to think that gambling online isn't going to be a thing is silly, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But
I agree. I do. I agree with every word. Really interesting. I was looking to trade into Yuga with my V friend. Maybe I should
sell the V friend.
So that's what he was thinking. But then when he said I wouldn't buy Bored Ape, so look, we did that show 10E3 NFTs, and the thing was, mine was Clone X, Yuga, and V friends.
Yeah,
just those are the three.
That's what I'm
so. For me, those are the three that I'm bullish on. So I wouldn't necessarily, be scared of Yuga because of what's going on. All I was saying is that I wouldn't spend 80 Ethereum at this particular time, with the market what it is, the crypto market and the macro, on a specific ecosystem like I did six months ago, or whenever it was, I was comfortable to do that. I wouldn't do that at this particular point. So I wouldn't be scared of Yuga. I think like the SEC side and things like that, they've been very, very careful. They've got good lawyers. They knew this was coming. With other sides launch, you had to KYC. That's a clear sign that they saw this coming. No one was doing that at the time, and everyone flooded them in the Bored Ape Discord. It was like, I'm not telling my identity, screw you guys. So they knew this was coming, and I'm sure they're going to be okay. But again, I don't want to put $100,000 into NFT that might take a year to be worth more than $100,000 and have it sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Kaj, you said you had some questions on your side from people. Let's go.
All right, I got three or four here. We have. I'll list them all out. We can pick which one we want to do. So,
read one you want to do, and let's do it.
Well, I want to do all of them. They're all good questions. All right.
Okay, read just one, and we'll do it. Then the next one.
What kind of Web3 content is not being made right now from your perspectives? Where are the holes in content? Like where they're trying to basically, they want to be a content creator in Web3. Like what should they be making content about? There's already people making news. There's already people doing a lot of the big things. Like what would you say? Like should they go onto Twitter? Should they try and do spaces like TikTok, YouTube? Like, what do you think?
So just understand that they want to be a content creator in the Web3.
Oh wait, hold on. Your audio.
Yes, but they want to choose.
Wait, your audio went to shit for a sec.
Okay. Let me try here. And now?
All right, say something.
Let me close some stuff. Hello, testing.
It's still shitty. This wouldn't be the Web3 show without at least one technical issue, everybody. Drop a like, subscribe while Philip is fixing the audio. All right, say something.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Nah, it's still crappy. That's so weird. It just like randomly switched over. It's also a tiny bit laggy. It could be your connection, just in general, from the storm.
Could be, but it needs to get better. Is it still funny?
Yeah, it's really, really choppy right now.
Kate, you answer the question. I'll come back and answer it. I'm going to actually leave and come back, okay?
All right, cool. All right, fam. I'm going to lead the Web3 show while Philip is out. So what kind of Web3 content is not being made right now? What platform should you be using? Oh, man, that one's so hard. If you have no clue, it depends how much experience you have behind a camera. I always, as a YouTuber, will say video is the best. It is the best. Every single client I get is from video. So I will say video. And I will say TikTok. TikTok is the easiest. TikTok Live is phenomenal. All you have to do is get to 1,000. I love how it's set up. I love the algorithm. I love 15-minute lives. I just have so many tips for people on TikTok. And TikTok is so casual. You don't have to edit. It's really easy to build community there. It's really easy to make outreach content, which is like, hey, follow me type of content where you do these things where you're like, I'm a YouTuber. And then it's like, follow me if you like this stuff. Then it's like, click the button, like those kind of content. For some reason, those pop. And then you can also make a ton of content with the same amount of effort, which is not that much usually. You can also make videos that kind of like massage your audience, if that makes sense, where you make content that's valuable to them. And so you foster that relationship with them while you're also putting out outreach content where you're getting more and more people. You know, like I get new followers every day, but then I'm also putting out a lot of content for those new followers so that they stick around. When they follow me, I need them to see my face 10 times in the next 5 hours, basically, so that they're like, oh, that's the guy with the glasses. He talks about these things. It's about Web3. Education, dope. Like I need that to be as fast as possible. So I'm going to say TikTok. You should be making content there. I don't think you should be just covering the space like and doing news because, dude, oh my God, the FTX stuff, when that started happening, every single content creator is covering the same story. There's no different opinions. There's barely any info out right now. So I was like, guys, we don't need more FTX content. Like we really, really just don't. It's not helpful. There's nothing for me to gain after watching 75 versions of the same story where there's no information. So as far as like what kind of content is not being made, man, maybe the podcast. I still think everyone should be doing a podcast. It was good for everybody. But man, content is not being made. Probably the boring stuff, dude. Like a lot of the boring stuff that's not getting clicks.
Can I attempt to answer?
Yeah. Did you hear any part of the beginning?
Is my audio okay?
It's better. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Did you hear any of my first answer?
No, I didn't hear when I wasn't in, so it might be the same. I don't know. My answer to the part you were answering now of that question is to do something that resonates with you. content on something that resonates with you, because if you looking for a niche that isn't covered, you won't be able to sustain it if you don't enjoy it. So let's just say we can identify it. Let's just say we can identify that specific niche, and you do it. You won't have the staying power to continue doing that for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So rather let it be whatever you enjoy in the space. If you love gaming projects, cover Web3 gaming projects. If you love arts, it doesn't matter if there's a million shows about it. If you've got that passion for that part, you will stand out amongst everyone who's just doing it for clicks. So I would do what I'm passionate about in the space and do content on that, because that passion will shine through and make you the best in that vertical on that content.
That's good advice. My answer is pretty much just TikTok. I just say it's the easiest to grow. The outreach content, it's really easy to make. But my point there was like, you can have video, and then once you have those videos, you can literally just repost those to YouTube, to Instagram, to Twitter. It's an all-in-one. It's like an all-in-one platform right now. TikTok is the best, and so that's where I was like, you can post it everywhere. So TikTok's the answer. And then as far as like you finding something you like, I'll even add to that a little bit more and say, even if it's not something you're completely in love with, if it's something that you do or you know a lot about, say you're a coder, or say you're a smart contract auditor. Perfect. This is the best. There's none of this actually. Actually, this is perfect. Pretend you're a developer of any kind, or you understand code. Now's the part where you go through every rug that you've ever seen and make a quick 30 to 40 second synopsis of where they went wrong, issues in their code, things that other projects should look for, and brand yourself as the expert coder / developer that everyone needs on their team to go through a little audit phase for. That sets you up for a business. That sets you up for great content. That sets you up for a great target audience. Like, the only people who are going to follow you are people interested in that kind of stuff. So you're going to have a really tight community. It just solves all the problems. Like, whatever you're good at or you like Philip said, start making content about that. Figure out ways. If you're a video game guy, start pulling every single Web3 video game clip you've ever seen and break that shit down. You can have the same clip, and you can talk about the background. You can talk about the specs. You can talk about how much work it took. You can talk about how many, you can do predictions. You can do voiceovers. You can do literally anything, but you just have to, I don't know. I would say take as many classes / courses / consume content so that you can understand how content is created. And once you can kind of figure out content creation, I think that's where you apply the things that you know. And I don't know, man. I mean, literally, like, if you follow us, I just think that we talk about this stuff all the time and tips. And I think you just pick it up as far as content creation. Just follow your favorite content creators and pick things up off them. Because I'm learning things all day. Like, I looked at my YouTube channel the other day, and I was like, I was on an Instagram live with someone, and he told me he had watched my channel a little bit and had like seen my story with the car and traveling and all that stuff. And he was like, it's really cool and it's really powerful. And I looked at my YouTube channel. I was like, dude, this is really just a journey on my YouTube of the joy age, like just documenting how I'm navigating Web3. And that's kind of all our YouTube channels. Like, we're all like kind of figuring it out and surfing the waves as they come. And it's kind of cool. And like, that could be a really, really good way to, as like your North Star, if you're a content creator, be like, this is kind of the journey, and talk about that. And then, like I said, all the things in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, because Luke is saying here, and it sort of comes into it. Okay, I love the question because I really want to start my own show. I've got no equipment, no idea. So even though I agree with what Kate's saying to some degree, I also think, and I've said it before on the show with analysis paralysis, I also think forget equipment. You can use your, like I did, like Kate alluded to earlier. In the beginning, I used my laptop camera, my integrated laptop camera.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It was, but and my integrated microphone in my laptop, and I got there and I started, and often just jumping in. I'm sure Kate's first videos were terrible. I'm sure Gary V's first videos were terrible. I'm sure Joe Rogan's first videos were terrible, but everyone's got to start somewhere. And that very first show, just being uncomfortable and unsure and putting it, then watching it back and learning and doing the next show with the shit camera until slowly you can go on that journey. And so don't allow the research to hold you back either. Sometimes just switch the camera on and start going.
The best way to for me, it's like try it to not suck as fast as possible. The only way to get to that point of not sucking is to do as many as you can. Like, when I started working the bar, I was like, okay, how many shifts is it going to be before I'm comfortable? And I was like, well, I don't care. I need it to be 2. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to learn everything in these next 2 shifts. I'm just going to focus on that. And I truly believe for human beings, intention is the key for everything. If you can focus and have intentional focus on something, you can get so much more done. I can have a dedicated 2-hour editing session. If it's fully intentional, I'll get more than 10 hours worth of good editing done in a couple hours span if it's really, really focused on, you know. And I don't know. I just believe if you really want it, you'll figure out a way. And until you hit that wall of like, man, I really want this, you're always going to be kind of coming up with more and more questions. I just think you just start. And then you always figure it out along the way. Like literally, that's the only way it happens. So that is a great question. I don't know who asked these questions. I just wrote them in my notes over the past week. Do we want to answer all of them? There's 3 more questions.
Well, let's do another one and see how we go.
Okay. Let's see. Well, this one, I guess, is really only relevant to this week since it just happened. So this is the reason I missed last week, NFT, the Web3 show. And almost, well, I guess this week was by accident, but I was speaking on stage in related to YouTube versus speaking to a camera. Because I just spoke at Define Arts Web3 conference, and it was awesome, by the way. Web3 conferences normally have a bunch of issues and are terribly disorganized. This one was put on by actual companies, so they had everything taken care of in that end. And we talked about selling NFT art and all that stuff, and it was fantastic. I think the biggest difference between speaking on stage and on camera is that you have to decide for yourself right there on stage if you care more about the audience or if you care more about the camera. And for me, I knew a video was going to come out. I knew the content after was the most important thing. Because let's face it, there's a few hundred people at the event. They're going to more or less forget everything that happened other than how they felt at the event after. And the video is going to be forever. So I had to think, I was like, okay, is the mic going to pick up my audio anyway? Which it didn't end up picking up most of the audio, which is fucking annoying. But okay, fine. So the video is going to be largely muted. But I had to literally decide on stage, okay, the audience here is a bit older. They don't seem interested in making content. However, I do believe that to sell digital art, you need to make content online. So that still is the answer. But I had to like change my frame of my mind a little bit because on a camera, I get to decide everything. I get to decide who's going to watch it by tailoring the video specifically to it. But at the event, I didn't know who's going to show up. So I was at their mercy. And it was a bit weird because I wasn't used to that. But as far as speaking on stage, it was so easy. It's stuff I love to talk about and know a lot about. So I didn't get any jitters like that. And it was amazing. Like, got so many photos and videos. I think if you ever get an opportunity to go to any kind of conference, if you're a speaker or just an attendee, you definitely should. I've been to 3 or 4 now just as a participant and finally got to speak at one. And man, it was awesome.
Did I miss the question?
Oh, it was how I was speaking on stage at the Define Art. Because that's the reason I missed last week.
Okay. All right. Well, for me, Kate speaking on stage.
We got Andres on the show, though.
I missed him. I did have Andres. What a nice guy, and he really, really nice. There was so much to cover with FTX that in hindsight, I probably should have just bit the bullet and done it alone. Because, you know, here's Andres, who's like been so kind to come on, and a last minute. So I would stop and sort of, are you okay? And ask for, you know, and I don't know. You know, I would rather have done a separate thing with Andres, like just getting to know each other. And then done
you can. I mean, you don't have to cover every single
and then do a separate thing with the news. But there was actually so much that I really wanted to cover. That was the week of the FTX, and I sort of try to combine the two of getting to know him and covering it. And I don't know, it went like Nate asked that question, bro. It took I shoved the video up. It took 45 minutes to get to the answer of which 3 NFTs, because in between we were talking about FTX and Andreas and me, and you know, one question took 45. It was all over the place, but I mean, I really appreciate Andreas. I loved having him. I just felt disappointed myself that I wasn't able to get as much information to the viewers as I wanted to for the show, you know.
Well, I mean, now he knows. And plus, like, honestly, for me, like, whenever I have a show with a guest, I always just, I mean, you can cover all the information and like the people will appreciate it, but in my experience, when you try and cover all the information, 60% of it ends up being nonsense anyway and just not that important as just like doing the show. So like for yourself, now you just already know that going forward. So like the next time you have a guest, it's just gonna be.
It will just be a guest show.
Yeah. Or I mean, you'll still hit on the topics. You just want to hit every single bullet point super in depth because this is not as important. This is a great question too, because I've seen a lot of this. I've seen this being asked like everywhere recently, and I don't know why. I assume it's because of Zeneca, because he talked about it with his Zen 333 club. What are your thoughts on soulbound tokens? What part does it play? And will you ever incorporate it into your brand? Any type of bound token, I guess. Anything bound. Doesn't have to be soul bound. I don't know if there's like different versions right now, but any kind of bound token where the goal is not to like trade it. It's really to either be tied to another NFT that you have. Like for Zeneca, his club membership is going to have a PFP soulbound token to it. I have the same idea with mine. We talked about it before. My Access Key Photography, I want a PFP with it so that people can rock it and not like, they can basically show off that they have the photography piece by having the Joy Kingdom avatar. I just got to figure out a way to make the avatar look super fucking unique and super fucking exclusive so that people are like, whoa, that's a Joy Kingdom avatar. That means he's got an access key. Like, I want that to be the first thing they think. And I think Zeneca has the same thought process. So what do you think about Soulbound?
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, we even in a way seeing it with like Nike's drops that they do is you log in and you need to have that Clone X in order to be able to purchase. So you saw with the clothing, depending on the traits that your Clone X had, in a way it almost generated a virtual soulbound token that gave you gated access that proved that you were the holder of that original thing. And I think it's a perfect use case for one of the many perfect use cases for NFT technology and blockchain for sure. And I think that it does have a very, very strong future in many applications going forward in the space.
Yeah, no, yeah, I guess I would probably echo a similar thing. It just takes a little bit of the. I don't think all NFTs have to have the same purpose and stance and role. So, like NFT God said in the podcast before, I partially agree with him of the fact that like crypto needs to largely fall into the background. I do agree with that partially, but I think I guess I just look at Web3 like an industry. I look at it like the fitness industry, and I think that's why I've been successful. And I think that people who look at Web3 is, if you're a content creator, at least if you're like an influencer type of person, then the goal is to be someone within the industry. And I just look at Web3 and I'm like, there's just too many things that are fun and exciting and like degenerate. But in the same way that like you would look at a bodybuilder who's like obviously too far into the world, he's like watching all the YouTube videos, eating the protein. You're like, look, you don't have to do all that, but it's because he loves it. So he wants to do it. It's like a hobby, right? So like that's how I look at Web3. It's like it's a hobby of sorts. It's a place that people want to be just because it's interesting stuff. I just think of Web3 as the land of basically dreamers, people who have their head in the clouds. That's like me. My head's always in the clouds, and I just don't see a world where we're not more digital. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to build towards that. If I'm wrong, there's no way I'm wrong. But if I'm wrong and we're not in a more digital world in 10 years, then like I guess I wasted my time. But I just don't see a world where that's not going to be the case. Too many people who are rich, bro.
Now you got me thinking, in many ways, I wish I had documented more of my life. I guess it doesn't, because you've done it, you're younger than me and you've been doing it longer than me, the YouTube side. So you got a lot of, like, especially your journey and leaving home and your trip and, your car trip. And you've got a lot of that on camera. I would love to have my traveling after school on camera. I would love it. Not necessarily on YouTube, maybe. I mean, but just to have that documented is incredible. And then, so it got me thinking, okay, better late than never. So I've got some of it here. Then it got me thinking, like I would rather it be less Web3 related and just in general. Then it got me thinking, maybe I've got to get my kids to start now on their side doing, because they want to, hey, and be protective. Yeah. I mean, little Raf, all of them do, but little Raf does on his iPad just for himself videos. He sets up his iPad exactly like Dad. Well, not exactly, but he thinks so, and he talks and he shows them, I'm now playing with this piece. Loves it.
No
and
way.
I think he would have an audience. Yeah, I think he would. I think all of them would have an audience because who has the most time to make content? Kids. Who has the most time to consume content? Kids, right? So obviously you want to be protective over your children from the perspective of like there's bad people in the world, and you don't really want them like your child showing a potential whatever around our house, right? With their iPad. I mean, I don't know. So maybe in some sort of control thing. Obviously, I got to speak to Bianca because they. Well,
I would be nervous more about like them starting to associate their self-worth with likes, but at the same time, they're already kids are. It's going to just become, it's going to shift from trying to be popular in school to trying to be popular online. It's already kind of shifted towards that, I imagine, for people in school. Like if I was in school right now, if I was in high school, I would not give a fucking rip about being popular. I would just be worried about how my online presence looked, because your online presence dictates how you look in real life too. Like if you're Instagram famous in high school, you're probably popular in real life because you're Instagram famous. Yeah. It just helps. It helps the whole brand. So that would be something I'd be worried about with my kids. I'm like, hey, you like making content? That's great. but you're probably going to suck for at least like 5 years. So if you're cool with that, about getting 6 views on all your videos and probably no likes, then you can make it. But if you're going to try and be famous and you're going to be upset and your self-worth is going to tank because of it, it's just not going to work. They're too young. So that would be the one thing I'm worried about. But it's a great idea. Also, here's a great idea for you for that story. You've got money. You bought a Bored Ape. You could spend a couple $100 on this. You could hire an editor and say, hey, you know those draw your life videos where someone just draws stuff on a whiteboard while you do a voiceover, a little conversation? You could do it. You could tell 5 to 15-minute story and just have them draw it.
No, I would love to have like a video diary of when we went through what was going on with Danny, and just be able to watch it back, and not just bad, like good things, and us renovating this house and the house before, and I don't know, just traveling, the travels we did, like some of it, some level of it document. I mean, I've got photos.
Dude, tell the stories. Go on TikTok. Had the photo right here in the video.
Bro, TikTok and me are done. I'm not interested in that bullshit.
Dude, no, you don't give up after one ban.
What I want to ask you, it's related to this, is do you think the opportunities with TikTok and YouTube are done? So what I mean is that you've already got Mr. Beast. You've already got guys who have made tens of billions of dollars from this, and YouTube and the one I hate, what's it? TikTok the same, right? You've already got guys who are the biggest. Are all the other guys who are entering it now on let's just say YouTube, because that's what I know, entering the YouTube arena now on the back foot? There's no way they can establish and catch up. Should people be looking for the next platform like Twitter, and you've said Twitter content, so that they can be the billionaire there? Or is there still that opportunity for someone starting right now to be able to get to 10, 15, 20 million dollars from this thing? Because I think in a way, everyone on the lower rungs who started late, who didn't catch that wave, wrong place, wrong time. If you don't have 10 million followers on YouTube now, you're wasting your time. I'm not sure, but I'm asking. What do you think? What's he do? 2, 1, and live.
All right. About 50,000 people just blew up on social media in that 5-second pause. Someone's blowing up every single day. I've been doing YouTube for 10 years. Every single year, there was about probably 5 videos that I watched telling me I missed the boat, and then 5 videos right after that said you didn't miss the boat. Someone always blows up. Brett Cooper's daily comment show, whatever, comment section show this year went from 0 to like 1.5 million in 6 or 7 months, because they figured out the algorithm, they figured out how to play the game, but the one skill there was storytelling and speaking to a camera. So the skill was the same, but just being active on the socials and figuring out where the meta is and capitalizing can streamline the success. But a year ago, I went full-time YouTube at 900 subscribers. I didn't have a lot of subscribers. I just had a unique business idea for the video side, and I leveraged it, and I figured out how to continue going. But I don't think there's ever a time where you're too late. There will always be someone who blew up last week. There will always be someone who blows up tomorrow.
Someone who blew up last week, who came on last week. Always been building and doing content for 20 years and blew up last week.
Someone in that 5 seconds got an opportunity that changed their life. Someone got an email that changed their life. Someone had a video go viral. Like something's happening every moment of the day. The only reason you don't believe it is because it hasn't happened to you. That's pretty much it. It's just a limiting belief that you don't think it can happen until it does.
It's not so much personal. It's more a general question that because we've had Luke, say that he's thinking of starting, and you sort of said TikTok, and then I like the YouTube, just in general, working on YouTube. I like the back end of YouTube. I typically like it, and I identify more with the YouTube in general because I'm an older guy. I don't really feel at home on TikTok for whatever reason. That's just. But
business doesn't care, Philip. You know this.
But I'm saying, if we're giving advice to someone who's starting now, even if I want my kids to start, I want them to do well on it. Do we say to ourselves, okay, let's use an existing platform? Because the pros to an existing platform, whether it be TikTok or YouTube or whatever, is that you've got the viewers there. That's the one thing. Whereas, okay, Twitter's different because you do have viewers there and they haven't yet done content very well. But I mean, if a new platform came out tomorrow, it's nothing if they don't have people.
Well, you need context, bro. You need context to your brand. The only way to build context to your brand is to make content. the only way. You have to have like when someone finds your channel, you need to have at least 10
we're doing this. We're doing this for different reasons. I'm not building a brand yet.
What are you doing?
I know you are, and you're doing the right things to build a brand. I'm not doing that at all.
So you're not trying to be you're not trying to be, when someone sees your face on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube, you hope they don't notice your face and trust you and want to hire you and pay you for stuff?
The reason I did this to begin with, it was because every project I was advising, and I really wanted the best for each of those projects, or community manager for whatever, we were looking for TikTok guys, for YouTube guys to cover our projects. And I just thought, if I'm the YouTube guy, I can do it, and we don't have to sit there trying, because everyone said no and rubbish, and this one, the one who wanted to do it wanted to charge us $1 million this, and so it was really just
brand. And you just said you want to have storytelling, you want to tell stories about you.
I want to do, but I want to tell my own stories.
That's brand building.
No,
what do you mean?
But I don't want to do it because of that. I just would like to, if there's one person who watches it and actually resonates with something and gets something from it, that is why I would want to do it. Not for any ulterior motives. The storytelling side. But hold on. So think about what happens. So now I start YouTube so I can add it as a service to my services, and then I don't have time with all the YouTube to be a community manager anymore on any other project. So when the time's up, or the one I give notice, because I'm really enjoying the YouTube side. So now if a guy contacts me and says we're looking for a community manager, I say no, I don't have time. I'm busy with editing and whatever. So it's sort of like there's no use for it anymore from the brand building side of things. The reason I was doing it. So now I enjoy talking to you.
So why continue doing YouTube though? Is it just for fun at this point then?
I've got 2,500 subscribers. I've got 600 people in my Discord that I think look up to me from a Web3 perspective, that I don't want to just let down and just stop. And secondly is that I'm not the type to start something and stop it. So I'm sort of like, I'm happy to do it. It's not like I'm considering not doing it, but there isn't like you a calculated. There was in the beginning, but now there isn't. There's nothing I'm not trying to get anything from it, and that's when it becomes a thing of like, okay, well, I'd rather just tell my stories, because once I'm sitting here, I've got you would sit here with me anyway. We can tell each other stories. I would much more enjoy that than looking at the latest NFT drop or upcoming drop or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense, but I don't know.
No, it makes sense. I just believe this. Brand building is nothing more than context to your content. That is the only thing brand building is. It's just a little bit more context as to who's telling me this about that. Do I trust them more? Do I like them more? Am I going to go to them for this thing? When FTX is covered, do I want Philip's opinion, or do I want somebody else? And they're going to pick you because of the brand that they feel. And brand is nothing more than the connection they have. It's the connection. It's the context that they have to you as a person, as a trustworthy compadre who's delivering all the information and showing up every week. You want to connect more. It's the same with like any other YouTuber. Like that's why you did the podcast with Kosher. Now you feel better about Kosher. Now you know him more. So now you respect his content more. When he makes a video on whatever bullshit NFTs happening, it matters a little bit, 1% more, because it's Kosher covering it. And you know Kosher. So that's the way I look at brand. It just helps your business. It helps your YouTube. And I think it's a waste if you don't add those in. It's just like, that's when you get those YouTube channels where you don't know anything about the person talking. You just have seen them a lot. But there's no emotional tie. If they're selling something, you're not buying it. If they're excited about a course, you're not getting it.
Did you see I added in real life section to my playlist? So I made a whole playlist called real life alpha. Life Alpha. So nothing to do with NFTs whatsoever. Because that's really like more of what I enjoy, because like, I really love the NFT space. I love Web3 and I've got a passion for all of that. But like in this bear market now, I haven't done an upcoming projects video for 3 weeks. I used to do 3 nights a week with 5 projects upcoming. I don't know if you understand that. I haven't done for 3 weeks. Why? Because even great projects with great founders and great teams and reputable things are failing. And I don't want to be the guy looking at a project thinking, look, this is a great freaking project. And I do think that.
Yeah.
And it would be in a normal market, it would 20x. And then some guy mints it because he heard from me and it ends up failing because very few. I had 7 whitelists today. Not one of them sold more than 100 NFTs out of whatever, somewhere over 1,000. Not one. I just deleted them, left it Discord, left it Discord, left it Discord, left it Discord, left it Discord. The best one out of all of them was Bugatti, who has 10,000 NFTs and they minted 600 and the full price is the mint price. And there's no secondary. And
Bugatti?
It's Bugatti the luggage, Bugatti whatever.
Lame.
But I'm just saying. So I believed in some of them. I didn't believe in 7 of them, but I believed in 1 or 2 of them. So I don't feel right bringing that content when the chances are, even if everything is perfect, the team is docked, they've got funding, they've got a good intention, they could go to 0. I just don't feel right bringing that. So I've stopped.
Yeah.
I've stopped doing it, and I want to pivot a little. I want to carry on doing it.
Dude, I have it. I know it. This is your pivot. You ready? I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and you might be perfect for it because you're looking for it too, bro. There's a guy on Instagram. His name is Steve Weatherford. He's a fitness guy. He's someone I used to follow. And I watched his progression go from NFL superstar, hot, sexy fitness guy icon to I'm going to take over the fitness world and help people become more healthy, to then when he hit a wall and other people started to make similar content, other people look like him just as good, just as charismatic, he said, okay, I need to pivot. So then he opened up a new sector of his brand called I'm helping out with dads. If you're a dad in the fitness industry, now I'm the page you go to. So you start making a bunch of dad content, how you can be a role model for your kids, blah, blah, blah. And, adding fitness in, waking up at 5 a.m. with this kid, getting him to run stairs with him in the morning, that kind of content, right? Dude, his shit pops off. So then he goes, okay, let me do it again. And he says, all right, I'm a Christian. So then he opens up a new sector called dads who are also Christian. And he got an even bigger reception from that. And then he drops a course, and then he drops it dude. And now he's got like a massive fucking podcast studio. He's easily 10x his net worth, which is already insane. And bro, he just did it because he just tapped into something he already does, and he's like already good at, and people already look at you like a trusted figure in the space. You're a bit older too. And so people like, I trust you too. If you're older than me. So I'm like, okay, he knows more about life. He knows more about trading. He's bought more expensive things than I have. He's just more successful in every department. So I want to talk to him. And then if I'm also like, all right, well, I'm 35 and thinking about having kids soon, or I have a kid who's 3 and he all he does is scream, and Philip seems to have some kind of thing with his kids, I better start watching him.
Isn't it egotistical to make a channel focused on how to be a good dad?
No, your tips as a Web3 degen and a father. What are the things I learned?
I've always said to Bianca that it's in my book. I've said I've written a whole book on bringing up kids, and
bro, then you got it. Just read a page.
I haven't written a whole book. It's just in my head. But I mean, there's certain tips. Look, I could really, honestly, I could help people with twins. There are so many babies. There are so many little tricks and tips that you need to know, because otherwise you will not sleep for the first year at all. Because as you do everything you need to with the one, the next one's up, and they need the same process, and they need to feed every 3 hours, and each process of feeding, burping, changing takes about an hour and 15 minutes. So you going 24/7. So there's a couple of like really brilliant things that Bianca and I discovered that is just incredible. Like for example, instead of using those stupid bottle warmers. Okay, you know nothing about this, but usually you can't. The kid wants a warm bottle, but you don't want it to be too hot. You don't want it to be too cold. Obviously, for both, too cold they won't drink it. Too hot you'll burn your kid. You can't do either of those. So what they do is you buy a thing called a bottle warmer, and now the kid's screaming for their bottle, and you have to switch on the stupid bottle warmer, fill it up. It takes about 10 minutes for this thing to warm up the bottle. What we did was we got an urn. Do you call it an urn also, like a hot water urn?
Probably. I don't know. But here's the thing. Someone knows. Somebody does know that's watching.
Like an urn. I don't know what you would call it there. Like it's a
know.
big kettle that constantly stays. Like if you go to a hall and they're giving you tea or coffee, they've got those big. So we boiled it all the way so the water's boiling and it's clean, and then we turned it to the right temperature that it's consistently warm. So you go there, you just put the powder, you put it on tap, warm water. There, kids happy. How's that?
I'm telling you, bro, like that kind of content will hit because even if it gets 12 views, there's a reason that 12 separate people clicked it because it's probably 12 dads or people who have twins or something. That's where like you really don't need a lot of views. You just need the right amount of views, and like then they'll fuck with your Web3 content even more. No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, from a perspective of building your brand and becoming more of a figure that people want to talk to and want to be interested in. If they're interested in you as a person, they're definitely be interested in you in your Web3 perspective because that's probably where they originally came from. And that'll, you'll even learn more. I mean, you'll just add your already polished skills of like copywriting and, a little bit of like clickbaity stuff. You're like, okay, like, here's what you do if you're a Web3 degen and you also have kids or twins. And then you have like a little thread, maybe you dive into the thread game where you make little clips. Like you can just, there's a lot of things you can go into, but I just think that niching down.
Doing separately, a separate thing for kids, not Web3 degen with twins. I mean,
I think it's really good, bro.
I think it's good advice. It's good advice, but I think that's a really niche market. Like,
bro, you want a niche market,
but niche.
You can expand, but you have to niche down first. You have to get that core little piece, and then you can start to expand. But if you only start with the layers, that's just where my head always goes.
So the clickbait thing would be need to feed your baby, but also need to mint this project. What do you do?
What do you do?
What
you let the kids suffer.
Well, you can do both. If you take your kennel and make it into an urn.
That's funny, bro. That's funny.
It is funny. Yeah. Cade, my brother, it's I've been going for almost 3 hours now.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I'm gonna love and leave you. I'm gonna love and leave our viewers. We'll see you next week. Cade will be on time next week. Like he's always been. Let's call a spade a spade. He's very reliable. I knew that it must have been something like this. I'm happy nothing serious was wrong. And guys, thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next Friday for another edition of the Web3 show. Keep safe, keep calm. This too will pass. Love you guys.
Let's go.